Hey, One Piece fans! You know Zoro, our green-haired, three-sword-wielding badass. He's the guy who vowed never to lose again after Mihawk gave him the world's most humbling reality check. But let's face it, even Zoro, with all his strength and determination, has faced some battles where he needed a bit of help, or just couldn't pull it off solo. That's right, even our favorite swordsman has had his share of tough moments. So let's dive into those times when Zoro couldn't quite go it alone. First up, let's rewind to the beginning. Captain Morgan. Remember this guy? The Marine with a jawline so sharp it could cut steel. Or so he thought. Zoro wasn't planning on fighting Morgan, but after getting roped into Luffy's crazy antics, he found himself in the thick of it. Now, Morgan wasn't exactly a powerhouse, but Zoro was tied up, starved, and let's be honest, probably a little hangry. Zoro might have been toast if Luffy hadn't shown up to grab his swords and handle those trigger-happy Marines. Imagine Zoro getting taken out by Helmeppo and Morgan? Yeah, me neither. Next on our list, Fishman Island and the big bad Surume. Now, Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy are each powerhouses in their own right, but when they came across Surume, that giant kraken, things got a little too tentacly for comfort. Sure, Zoro's a beast, but let's be real. Taking down a squid the size of a building isn't a one-man job. The monster trio had to team up to tame Surume, and while it wasn't exactly a fight to the death, it was a reminder that sometimes you need a little help from your friends, especially when your opponent could double as calamari for the entire Grand Line. Now, let's talk about a moment that's etched into every One Piece fan's brain, Zoro's encounter with Bartholomew Kuma at Thriller Bark. After getting their butts handed to them by Gecko Moria, the Straw Hats were in desperate need of a nap. But nope, Kuma decided to drop in and say hi. And by say hi, I mean he showed up to ruin everyone's day. Kuma's paw fruit powers were next level, and Zoro, even with his I'll take on the world attitude, was no match for him. Zoro, being Zoro though, wasn't about to back down, but when Kuma offered to spare Luffy in exchange for Zoro taking on all of Luffy's pain, we got one of the most iconic moments in the series. Zoro took on all of Luffy's suffering and somehow managed to stay on his feet, covered in blood, but still standing. Nothing happened, he said, and we all collectively lost our minds. It's one of those scenes that makes you realize just how far Zoro will go for his crew. But let's be honest, if Kuma hadn't shown some mercy, Zoro would have been a goner. It's a moment that shows Zoro's unbreakable will, but also that there are some fights where even he needs a miracle to survive. Zoro's scar on Kaido is legendary, but it also shows the limits of his power. This wasn't just a test of strength, it was a test of endurance and willpower. Kaido pushed Zoro to his absolute limits, and if it weren't for the team effort, Zoro might not have made it out alive. It's a fight that cements Zoro's place as one of the strongest in the world, but also as a reminder that even he has his limits. And hey, if you're going to hit a wall, it might as well be a giant indestructible dragon, right? And speaking of tough battles, let's talk about Dressrosa and Zoro's run-in with Fujitora. Now, Fujitora is an admiral with a devil fruit that controls gravity. Yeah, you heard that right, gravity. Zoro doesn't back down from a challenge, and he goes head-to-head with Fujitora. But let's be real here. Fujitora wasn't even breaking a sweat. Zoro held his own, sure, but we all know that if Fujitora had decided to go all out, things would have gone south real quick. This clash wasn't just about strength, it was a wake-up call. Zoro is strong, no doubt about it, but this fight showed that there are still levels to the game that even he hasn't reached yet. Fujitora's power is off the charts, and it's clear that Zoro's journey to becoming the world's greatest swordsman still has a few mountains to climb. It's moments like these that remind us just how vast the One Piece world is, and how even the mightiest swordsman has more to learn. And who could forget the epic showdown with Pica and Dressrosa? Pica was literally part of the landscape, using his devil fruit to merge with stone and control the battlefield. It was like Zoro was fighting a mountain. Literally. Now Zoro had to think on his feet, dodging giant stone fists and figuring out how to take down a guy who could blend into the environment. It wasn't just about slashing his way through. Zoro had to strategize and find a way to bring Pica out of hiding. In true Zoro fashion, he eventually slices through Pica's massive stone body with his epic 1080-pound phoenix, but not before giving us some of the most intense moments of the arc. This fight wasn't just a test of strength, it was a test of Zoro's adaptability and his ability to handle unique challenges. Pica may have been a tough opponent, but Zoro proved that he's not just brawn, he's got the brains to match. Still, it's safe to say that this fight pushed him to think beyond just swinging his swords. Finally, let's talk about Zoro's battle against King during the Onigashima raid. Now, King isn't just any opponent, he's a Lunarian, a race known for their insane durability and fire-based powers. King was Kaido's right-hand man, and he definitely lived up to the hype. Zoro was pushed to his absolute limit, having to unlock advanced Haoshoku Haki and master Enma's full potential just to keep up with King. And even with all that, it was a brutal fight. King's fire-based abilities and sheer strength made him one of the toughest opponents Zoro had ever faced. Zoro had to adapt his fighting style, blending raw power with precise Haki control to land a hit. And let's not forget, Zoro was dealing with the toll of using Enma, a sword that drains his Haki like a battery. This wasn't just a fight, it was a struggle for survival. In the end, Zoro managed to come out on top, but it was clear that King pushed him harder than anyone before. This fight wasn't just about winning, it was about Zoro proving to himself and everyone else that he's on the path to becoming the world's greatest swordsman. So what do you think? Did we miss any battles where Zoro needed a hand? Or do you think he could have taken on some of these foes solo? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more epic One Piece content. See you next time!